Hi, everybody. We are live today for our first episode of B2B collab with my guest, Dr. Caroline Iscovitz. Am I pronouncing it properly?
So close. Iscovitz. It's a
Iscovitz.
hard one.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I was close. I was close. Thank you so much. I am so glad you guys are joining me today across LinkedIn, X, as well as YouTube. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments below. It will pop up on our end. And if it doesn't, I will make sure that they are answered from whichever platform you are looking at. So the whole premise of this show is that we're getting insights. I want to share with you all the insights into B2B collabs and partnerships, the good, the bad, the ugly, the you should not do it sometimes, because sometimes it just does not make sense. I'll also be sharing my own experience, but really I'm leaving it up to my guests, to share their experience, their expertise, and how B2B actually supports your business, your endeavors on a professional scale, on a brand scale. Hi, Letitia. Thanks for joining us here today. So, Dr. Caroline, please introduce yourself. Share with us who you are and who you serve, and how you're
Yeah.
impacting others.
I'm definitely doing my best. So my journey's been kind of all over the place, but what my focal point is being able to really make an impact anywhere I go, no matter how small or big it is. But my husband and I own a solar energy company called Solar All Over, and we work with a lot of B2B as well, just being able for installation and other capacities and lenders, all the different aspects of when it comes to getting solar for your home or your commercial property. In addition to that, I have a YouTube channel and a podcast interviewing all different types of entrepreneurs. So I deal with a lot of individuals that are working B2B or have that capacity as well. So that's kind of the sum of it, of what I do.
Yes, and we know each other for, I would say, over a year now. Yes,
Yeah.
a long time. We've been in each other's network and circumference area, I would say, and it has been lovely. You interviewed myself and my daughter Faith with her books, and that was like such a huge blessing for us. So we were very grateful to you for that. And then, of course, we continue to support each other in our endeavors. Now, when any entrepreneur, maybe it's a startup, perhaps they're a mid-size, they've been in the game for a long time, they're thinking collab um, can be like they may have to invest something, or someone is going to take something away from them. Can you share a bit more about what does a B2B collaboration or partnership can mean for a business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because I didn't really know what it looked like until I really got into the solar industry because we do a lot of B2B. And I think it's really about being able to maximize our impact, but also not having to do everything ourselves. So being able to partner up, for instance, an example for us, we started with just the sales organization for solar. But then you have lenders, and that you can do it all of it yourself, mind you, but that can be really taxing. So we have lenders, we have installers, and then we started to take on the installation side of things as well. So we started to grow, but then we realized we're better together. And that's where I feel like the common thread from everybody I've interviewed, and it's being able to look at, okay, how can we maximize growth, still helping people, but making things a little more streamlined. So we're not having to do everything ourselves because things can fall through the cracks. But the more people, and I think it's important to know, okay, who should I work with? We've had a lot of ups and downs and learning lessons from that, of just trying things out, and that's entrepreneurship in general. You have to
Yeah.
try things out. But I think the main concept of it is knowing that when you are working with B2B, you're able to have more impact, and people can specialize in their area of expertise to be able to bring on somebody else that's their expertise. So you're able to have a well-rounded company as well as partners in addition to that. So I think it just adds value if you have the right people in your corner and the right organizations as well.
Well, you nailed it right there on the head. One, with the explanation, and two, talking about building your community, because your network is a big part of it, right? If you weren't out there networking and doing some of the things, and we'll touch on this a bit later, you would not have been aware of um, thinking to partner. And of course, you're doing all these other interviews as well, aside from the family business within the solar industry. So you may not have thought, well, this is the way. It may have taken you a longer period of time. And then on top of that, further, so you're building your community. You looked into your network to see, okay, who is actually, they're giving the results. They align with what we're doing. We can partner. And now you're saying, all right, we need to grow and scale, and we need to do this in a holistic way. So we're not burnt out, stressed out, overburdened, and really straining our budget, straining a team that we may or may not be able to afford depending on the season, the time, and anytime you're growing, you're spending money.
Yes. Yeah.
People don't realize they think, oh, I'm scaling, or I'm like, no, you're spending money too. There's a lot going out.
Yes. You don't realize that until you're in the thick of it.
Realize that, yeah. But then when you're partnering with someone, another organization, it helps relieve the strain. Not because, and a part of that, just so people are aware, is that when you're doing your negotiations and you're partnering or collaborating with another business, the finance piece is huge, because you need to be very clear on who's getting what. What does this mean? What does that look like? And or is it more like a referral system? So you could partner with someone, and like you get business, and then they'll say, okay, they need, I don't know, like installation, for example, if you guys didn't do that. Well, our partner is XYZ, company XYZ LLC. So, we trust them. We've worked with them, and they will get you, the best price, the best work for the budget that you have. And so then when it comes to payment, they're getting it. So can you touch a bit on when we're working with or collaborating with another business, that integral, scary, often people don't want to talk about piece when it comes to the finance?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think we've dealt with this a lot in the solar industry, because my husband and I have helped, mostly him, but I've helped in a couple other companies grow their solar organizations as well, because we believe in abundance. And I think part of that is when you have so many different moving parts, you're like, well, I can just do it myself to save money. And the reality is, yes, you can do it all yourself. It's going to take a lot longer. It's going to be a little bit more strenuous, and it's going to cost a lot of money as well in the long run. Versus if you're able to partner with other companies, you're able to see, okay, this is the dealer fee, for instance. Nobody really talks about dealer fees when it comes to solar. We do. We believe in transparency. We want to give our customer everything possible, but we work with different lenders, or we work with different solar installation companies, because outside of Colorado, there's national ones. So they take a piece of that money. But however, if we didn't have them, then we would have to do it ourselves, and all that work would fall on us. We would have to get the crews. We would have to make sure that they're ready for install, making sure we have the equipment, all the things that go into one entity, because to get someone solar, it takes about 6 companies and 3 government organizations.
Wow.
So there's a lot of moving parts. So if you're doing it all yourself, great.
Yeah.
We've done it, we do it, but it's taxing, and we've kind of scaled back a little bit to have more reach by being able to partner with other installation companies throughout the US in order to do that. So they might take a certain amount of money from that. However, it's saving you time and money and energy in the long run. So it's looking at what is I was talking about this the other day, it's like cost analysis. Yes. Instead of like your pros and cons, it's the cost analysis of what is going in and out versus energy, time, and money than coming in. Because yes, you could do it yourself, but how many more people can you impact if you're focusing on your zone of genius and having somebody else do their zone of genius? So I think it's being able to kind of take a step back sometimes and look at the bigger picture, and having to realize you can't do everything. Can you do it? Yes. But can you do it all effectively and beautifully? Sometimes, but not always. That's the truth. That's the truth. I mean, I think we're only human, right? Like, we can do amazing things.
Yes. And you brought up a very valid point, right? We have to look at the cost analysis. And so many of us do not take the time to look at it. We think, oh, we can just do this, or we're partnering. But then that's a whole other conversation. One, you have to have with yourself first, because there's trust, there's credibility. Do you know these people? What are they expecting? What do I want? Because if you don't know what you want and you go into a collaboration or a partnership, I'll just use the word partnership in this case, in a partnership with another business, you're bringing in their reputation, their credibility, their everything is associated with you and you with them. And so if it doesn't work out, or there is some sort of misunderstanding, sorry, excuse me.
Not you.
Oh my, that snuck up on me. Yeah, and there's some sort of misunderstanding for whatever reason.
Right.
Now, other people, your clients, are
Yes.
being they're being stalled, and no one's happy. This doesn't work
Yes.
out. One of the things I wanted to touch on, I noticed this a bit last year
Mhm.
when you started to become, I would say it became evident where you started taking on a more active role in the solar company, in the business, the family business. Not that you weren't before, but
Yeah.
more of an active role. And one of the things that I seen that you were doing, you started going to like the Chamber of Commerce. You were going to some networking events. You started speaking a bit more aside from your interviews.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Mm. That's a great question. I think part of it is my husband doesn't really do a lot of social media.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to have a presence. And I love social media, but I also love connecting with people. And that's one of my superpowers is building relationships. And he's able to do like all the back end stuff and knows all the techie and everything when it comes to solar. He's a walking encyclopedia about solar. That's what I call him. But I realized there was a need for it. I was like, people don't know about it. Everything had been word of mouth for our business, and that's how it's grown to what it is today. But in addition to that, about a year and a half ago, I kind of just saw that need to be able to bring it out into the community and talk about it. And especially because there's not a lot of women in solar to begin with. There is a growing number. But when I started in the industry about 2.5 years ago, I didn't really see it. So about a year and a half ago, I was like, I started to take that on. I took over 50% of the company and really looked at, okay, what can we do to help bring awareness to it and build relationships, power partners, because we work with a lot of roofers, real estate brokers,
Mhm.
things along those lines, but also construction and how we could help each other going back to the partnering. Okay, what makes sense for our industry? How can we help each other? So if somebody needs a new roof and getting solar at the same time, it benefits the homeowner to get both at the same time and we
Yeah.
can help them save more money. But I think the biggest thing is I love creating community. That's just something that even from the time I was really little, and I wanted us to have a community that we could reach into and be able to help them. And a lot of times doesn't benefit us whatsoever, but then I'm able to connect other people in the same industry in different capacities, whether it's a roofer and a kitchen, somebody who redoes kitchens and whatnot, like being able to connect them because maybe it leaked through their kitchen and now they need a new kitchen. But I think it's looking at how we can help each other. And that's where I feel like networking is such a key element in any business you do, no matter what, because I always believe connection first, then business, because it might never benefit me, but however, I can connect somebody else.
Mhm.
That's kind of where I started to take that active role and just bring awareness. That was the second piece of it. Bring awareness to what solar is, how it works,
Mhm.
and just giving information because we don't really sell solar. We really just educate individuals and give them the information to make an empowered decision. Whether they go solar with us or some other company, at least they have the facts. And that's what's super important to us, the honesty and transparency of the process. And if they don't
Mhm.
go with us, that's okay. But I think it's about building that relationship as well as giving the right information because there's a lot of information that's incorrect because people will see, oh, I can get solar for free. That's not the reality. I'm here to say
Yeah.
that. But being able to educate people and bring that into the community, I think, is what really started it because I just would talk to people and no one really knew the facts about it. And the conversations I was having, I was like, people need to know about this. So that's where I started to really create a presence online to
Mhm.
understand what that really looks like. So people just have the right information.
100%. I had to put grow the community
Yeah, I
because
know.
that you touched on the whole piece there that I liked, and I'm sure the listeners and the viewers, they also enjoy. Letitia, thank you for your comment there.
Yeah, thank you. Mhm.
When you build the community, now your awareness comes. People get to know you. Now you'll never go hungry. I'm just
Yeah.
using that term. But you're doing it. And how you're doing the business, your
Mhm.
approach to it, you looked at the inside. what is the partnership need? Your husband is an expert and a genius at what he does. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. He built the business. The
Yeah.
business is growing. Yeah, I mean, yes, you were there, and
Yeah.
but you weren't as active. And then
Mhm.
you took a look at saying, how can I utilize my best skills, talents, abilities, and expertise to support what he's doing so
Mhm.
we can help more people? Because you're a social impactor. That's what you say about yourself. That's how you're labeled yourself on your
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
And so you come in and then you do your part
Mhm.
with bringing that awareness. Now you're going to the Chamber of Commerce. Now you're doing a bit more speaking engagements because you need to build your community, not solely for the benefit of the company, but also for the benefit of your clients, both past, present, and future.
Exactly.
Because they might, I'm sure you get phone calls back saying from people, oh,
Mhm.
I'm trying something new, but I'm not sure if you guys do this. Can you refer me?
Yes. All
Yeah,
the time.
all the time. And so you're just like that point of contact. So it just
Yeah.
makes logical sense um, when it comes to the partnerships and how it's going to work.
Mhm.
When when you decided to say, okay, I'm a social impactor
Mhm.
and I want to bring awareness as well as community to this business,
Mhm.
why did you go this route versus you went this conscious route versus what is currently out there and how people are um, doing business generally in the solar industry, because not people are consciously taking this active role and building community in the solar industry. I'm not saying that they're not, but your
Right.
approach is unique to this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think selfishly, I love community. I think that's just how my brain works, to be quite honest. I love, especially in person, because I was doing a lot online and things along those lines. But I felt when you're in person, you have this like immediate connection, or like this energy is exchanged, whether it's great energy or not so great. Then you can figure that out really quickly. But I think being able to have that community was just always something that was so important to me in every capacity. And I didn't really have that when I first moved to Colorado, because I met my husband a month after, and then things just kind of moved that direction. But I think a big part of that was when you're able to connect in person, you're able to have these really amazing conversations, and those conversations lead to so many other capacities. So when I went to the Denver Chamber of Commerce, I met amazing individuals, and they're like, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to that person. And then we were kind of able to create a whole web. That's what I kind of look at it as, like you're in the center, but then you're creating this web around you. So when people ask you, hey, do you know a person that does this? Yes, absolutely. Let me connect you. And I think that was a big part of my approach. Was I always think we're better together. And if we can really make an impact, the more people we have in a group, the more impact we have, the more ways we can make the community a little better and brighter. And that's kind of always been my thought process. It might have not always worded the same way as I was like, as I've grown, as the company's grown. But I think that's a big aspect of it, is just being able to really play to my strengths, and then also be able to go into the community physically as well as online too, because I think both are important. But I've seen a huge growth of me just going out to the community and being like, okay, we're going to go to this networking event, or we're going to meet these people. And my husband's like, okay, sure. He does. But I think that was a big part of it, is just something that I personally crave, but also I know how much impact it can have by just really speaking up and getting out there in any way that works for you.
Have you come across a situation where the deal or the partnership just it looks great and it's like, yes, I should take this, we should work with this person? Or perhaps maybe your husband's come to you and said, you know what, I really like these guys. I've been following them for like so long. Not following on social, but he knows their work, he trusts like what they're doing. And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe this is not beneficial for us. Have you come across that? If so, how have you dealt with it?
I'm like, yes, I can think of two instances off the top of my head. I think sometimes it can seem too good to be true, or the expectations and the communication isn't very clear. And that's something like I've learned in this journey is have everything in a contract written down, signed, make sure it is like bulletproof essentially, because a lot of things can go wrong, or especially when you get into a partnership, if feelings get involved, that can be really tough. But there was one like really amazing project. It seemed amazing. And then we started to find out more information as time went on, more meetings happened. And then we ultimately decided it didn't make sense for us financially as well as for the direction of our company. So I think it's important to remember what your core values are in your business and always follow suit with those, because opportunities do come. We ended up getting another even better opportunity after saying no to that first one. So I think it's sometimes you want to jump at an opportunity that seems really good, but sometimes you have to really take that step back, really sit with it. Don't just make impulsive decisions. I believe in calculated risks. I think like you definitely have to take risk in business, but I really like, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, and usually I can feel it like in my gut. I'm like, I think we need to like just sit on this one for a second. So we're the yin and yang to each other, my husband and I. But I think that's a big part of it, sitting with it and remembering what your core values are if you're making that big decision. But usually when you say no to something, it's making room for something even better. That's like my outlook on it.
100%. I love the fact that you said, remember your core values. So I have to post it up there. Remember your core values, especially when you're coming into any sort of collaborations or partnerships, because it is so easy to be, flown away with what you think is the better deal instead of tuning in intuitively and recognizing, hey, does this actually align? And then, as you said, and I want you to take us through a not necessarily step by step in depth, but an overview of how people should actually create that partnership. Because you mentioned the core values, and then the second thing you said was we've had several meetings, and with each meetings, things seemed a little, like it may be too good to be true. And then of course, this is when you both decided. Your husband and you, let's leave that on the table and continue on.
Right.
How should anyone, maybe they're new in business, perhaps they've been in business for a while and they're saying, I want to scale, or I've grown, I'm making good money. What is this next step in terms of partnership? Because they need to reach a wider audience, right? We always need to reach that wider audience. Can you take us through like a nice overview of the steps one can take when it comes in terms of strategic collaborations and partnerships?
Yes, absolutely. So I think first it's having that initial conversation. What are their goals for it? What are your goals for it? So you're kind of on the same page and like hopefully on the same page. And I feel like sometimes it depends on what the situation is and what the kind of contract it is. But I definitely, and I will advocate till I'm blue in the face, having a contract, because I've been in situations where there wasn't a contract. And then sometimes somebody gets the short stick, basically, the short end of the stick. So I think it's important to have that. Once you have those conversations, okay, what are the expectations? Really having that clearly defined after the contract, like with the contract as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand. Once you have that, it's okay, well, what are the next steps? Is there going to be payment? Is there fees? What does that look like? And really getting clear on the financial aspect and putting that in the contract as well. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, so make sure you check with a lawyer or a professional, but that's just been my experience. Having everything written down and signed is so important. The next step is like, what does that look like once the contract's signed? What are those next steps? Is there goals and criteria that you're meeting every week, every month, every quarter? What is the expectation? What's the end goal from that contract? So I think those are like the main points of it. And like I said, it's going to look different per business, per contract, per situation. But I think the biggest thing is the financial aspect, the goals, expectations, and the contract all like wrapped into that contract, as well as those communications as well. And making sure you have that clear communication across the board. If you're going to have meetings, are you going to like check in with each other? How are you going to make sure everything is flowing in the way you want it to? And you have to realize, like with business, things can change really quickly. look at the economy, how things have shifted. So it's just really looking at what are you trying to accomplish at the end of it. And that's what it has saved us, like time and money, by being really clear on those things. But those would be my initial steps in order to create that partnership.
Yeah, the three main steps. Um, Aside from knowing your remembering your core values, you have to have a contract, get the finances ironed out, and ensure a lawyer is you have your own lawyer. They might have their own lawyer or not, but get your own to make sure that the partnership benefits also you, not just them. And then the third piece was which one?
Just having your goals and the communication and expectations very clear.
Yes, having that clear and in the contract.
Yes, yes.
Because if it ain't in there, they can say, well, it wasn't in there. You know? Yeah. So those are some really main points. A business now, it could be any entrepreneur listening in now, in the replay, whenever it is. They are looking at this and they're thinking, okay, well, I have all of these steps. I'm doing all of these things. How do I go national? Because you are taking this on a national level outside of your state. So how can they take it to a national level? And just knowing the person that you are and you just want to save all the world and all humans, animals, trees, water. You just want to save everybody. I'm sure your husband tells you that all the time.
Yes, I can a little better.
Yeah. But it's in a great way, right? Like it's a positive way. My daughter's saying she wants to save everything, everyone. I'm like, you just one day at a time. But you know, and so I'm just assuming here your next step once you're national, you want to eventually go international. But for the entrepreneur who's tuning in, the business owner, how can they take their business, their partnerships on a national level? You know, we see the Kim Kardashians, she's partnering with the Nike, is it Nike or the Olympics, right? We're seeing the Simone Biles. Now, influencers are partnering. I mean, they've been doing it for a while, but normally they were just doing it to highlight, oh, I like this brand, and then they would get that paycheck. But now we're seeing the influencers are taking ownership in business. They're holding on to the kind of like the Michael Jordan deal with Nike that he had. Yeah. So how do business strategically make that move? Because that's kind of the move that you're making here, right?
Yeah, that's the hope. And, you know, I think it's different for every type of business, because I think with influencing and being on social media, it's easier to get national or international versus if you're a brick and mortar. So it's a little bit different because you have manufacturers, suppliers, like all the things that like go into that process. But I think it's really goes back to starting to build your community. You never know who you're going to meet or who knows who that's going to direct you in that direction, because that's kind of what happened for us. We got a couple national contracts. I was like, what's the word? Contracts for installation based off of who we knew, the companies, and that process. But it looks different for everyone. But I do think it's the more people you're connecting with, the more that they can direct you to the right people, and not be afraid to ask for, I'm looking for this. Do you know anybody that could help me or be a benefit, or I could help them? And I think that's the thing I struggled with in the beginning when I was growing my coaching business. It took me a while because I couldn't ask for help. I didn't know how to ask for help. And I think that's the biggest thing. Pour into your community and they will pour into you as well. Not everyone, it's not going to be a direct exchange a lot of the times, but you just never know who you're meeting and who knows who. And I think that's the beautiful thing of building community, because I've had relationships I've built, and then 2 years later, they're like, oh, you do solar. I need to connect you to this person. And like, I was like, oh, okay, cool, great. Yeah. But you know, it's not going in it for something. It's going in it to make an impact. That's how like I view it. And I think when you are transparent and honest and authentic of who you are, people will gravitate towards that and they'll start to know you for that. And that's where like even speaking and getting out in the community, but the more people you talk to, the more likely you are to make those connections, or even directly reaching out to those companies if you want to partner with someone and start to build that relationship.
Mhm.
And it's not always asking for something right away. It's building that relationship. And that's why I said it earlier, it's connection then business for me, because I
Mhm.
think that's important. Sometimes I forget about the business part because I just want to connect. But I think that's how people can really start to build those relationships or scale. It's just getting out there, letting people know who you are, what you do, and whether it benefits them or not, they might be able to later on in life. You just never know who you're connecting with. And that's the beautiful.
100%. It's I agree 100% with the connection. Sometimes you get like messages like I don't even know you. I don't even know like I didn't even know I clicked accept. Something like, did I did,
Yeah, it's true. It's
did,
true.
who are you, right? But building those connections makes a massive difference. Yeah, story with what happened now Faith is up for an award um, uh, for International Day of the Girl Award. And it's from our connection on LinkedIn how this happened because the owner of the organization, we follow each other and we've been about a year. And then she sends a message. And I honestly was not, I was like, oh, um, okay. Like I didn't even like it didn't register at first. And then I said, oh, she's not at age for it because they have a certain age range and she's still young.
Mhm.
Um, and she's like, no, it's good, like because they're seeing in the community the work that she's doing, with not only with her books but with other charitable organizations like you. She just wants to save the whole world. You know, all the people, animals, trees, water. I don't know, air. She was like, I'm just like, okay, there's only so much you can do. You're one person, but
Yeah.
so in saying that, from that, then this is how the nomination happened. And then now she went to yesterday, had to take a day off because she went to a photo. They had a photo shoot for the girls, and they have like all these other activities and stuff that's ongoing. And then that's part of networking. And because Faith has been to different award ceremonies before, and she's done networking before, she's at 7 already like has her cards and she just goes talks to people for her, similar to you, just making that connection and going up to people and not being shy and saying, "Oh, what's your name? How are you?" And I'm just like, they said to me, "I don't think she's going to be shy when she gets on stage." I'm like, "She's good." I
Absolutely.
I know it's very very simple that people might say, "Oh, well, this is slightly different," but it's part of your network and building your community because you don't know, as you mentioned, it can be 2 years later somebody comes and say, hey, Dr. Caroline, you do this, I know this person, right? And then you make that connection. And sometimes you could be doing all the things right and following all the things, but you need that one connection to take the business or to take your service, right, your value to that next level so you could help more and more people. So
Yeah.
before we leave, if you could share one tip. Oh, uh, two things before we leave. The first one is you have started with some other women, and I think also with yourself, like a community. I don't know if it's a nonprofit or like a networking group to support other entrepreneurs. I'm not sure if it's mainly women. I think it's mainly women. If I because I put it, I'm like I'm joining. Let me know when you're ready. Why did you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, so it started with being able to build out this massive conference, and we've pivoted just like in entrepreneurship. You pivot a lot, but I think for me, I always crave community. That's just in my bones. And part of that was I wanted to create a conference that would be able to encompass the whole woman. And we really wanted to focus on, because I feel like it's a lot of conferences I've attended. This is just what I've attended. I'm not saying this is generalization, that it's very masculine led and you usually have a keynote speaker who's speaking about their story, but then what are the tangible tools to apply to your business? And I feel like that was kind of a missing link for us. So we created this whole conference. We ended up deciding to postpone for the time being. And then through that, we realized, okay, well, it goes back to community. And I think that's the foundational piece of anything, is being able to create a community. So we're doing these coffee meetups just to bring people together, women together, to talk about your business, talk about you, be able to really connect on that human level. And now we are starting in September a mastermind. So being able to really pull apart your business and what's going on, and having these coffee meetups, but adding a subscription model to that where people can come socialize, but also learn what they need to do for their business. So it's really for that beginner entrepreneur in the first year, 2, 3 years, where everything's just kind of still you're figuring it out, getting your footing, but being able to really pick apart how we can help them in every aspect. So it's myself and 2 other powerful women that we came together because we all had the same idea for a conference. And that's how we actually even came together, was we met through networking events. And that's kind of how it all unfolded. But right now it's really about creating that community and building a mastermind from that, so people can come together and really work on their business, see things from different perspectives too. Because when we're in our business, sometimes it's really hard to see every angle. So when you have other people who are in business as well and can see it a little clearer than you just have that support. And I think that's what I was always craving, and same with the other 2 women that I'm working with on that. So that was our big shift of creating that community now. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. No, that's it's powerful. It's empowering, and you're creating solutions for entrepreneurs. And I'm not just saying for the first 1 to 3 years in business. Sometimes the first 5 to 8 years or 7 years. That's still a young business, and so people do need that help and that support, the clarity. So good on you and your team, and what a great way that you guys both, all 3 of you, found a way to partner together strategically, to create value and solutions for entrepreneurs. Now you're reaching a wider audience, because now there's 3 of you, 3 networks on whichever social media platform that you're blasting this out to. And the meetups are connecting, which comes back to community. It's great to have the conference, but you're like, wait, let's start from the beginning. Let's meet with them. Who's coming here, right? Why do we want them to come? We want them to want to be here, right? So good on you. What parting words would you give the audience?
So many, but the main thing I think is just to remember that what you have to offer is so valuable, and knowing that your voice matters, your dreams matter, you matter, and being able to really focus in on how you're making a difference in your industry, no matter what industry you're in, because this can apply to anyone. But the only time you fail is if you give up. And I feel like failure is a big part of entrepreneurship, and it's learning to get back up. I mean, that's not anything new, but that's important to remember, because you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. It's not this glamorous look that you sometimes see on social media. It's really what you're doing day in, day out, and just really believe in yourself, especially when others don't believe in you. Believe in you.
Great. Thank you. And for those looking to either get into the solar industry and connect with you, they're in there, they're working, they need solar panels, and or for any entrepreneurs that are saying, you know what, I want to be a part of your community. I want to grow. I want to learn from you. How may we get in contact with you?
Yes. Well, for solar, you can just go to solarallover.com. And for being able to connect with me, the community, everything is actually on either any of my social media links, but for YouTube or Instagram, it's just Dr. Dr. Caroline Iscovitz. So my full name. You can find me anywhere, but YouTube and Instagram is usually where all my links are. So you can just find me anywhere there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I enjoyed the conversation. I know in the comments, people were commenting they liked what you're doing. Our viewers were tuned in. So thank you all for tuning in. And Dr. Caroline, I appreciate all of your wisdom and that power of connection, just reinforcing that foundation, especially on this first episode with the B2B Collab Live, because we underestimate the value of that human connection. You reminded me today, as well as I'm very confident others who are tuning in and listening, that Regardless of all the AI technology and all the computer stuff that's happening, humans need humans. Humans need that emotional, social connection in order to thrive and to grow. And when we come and we bring our value and we shine our light into another, then their light begins to shine. And now they can return the value that we've given them, but not only to us, but then also share it with their network. They can share their value out to others. So thank you for that beautiful and empowering reminder.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and the privilege to be on today and be the first episode as well. But I love what you're doing and the impact you are making in your community, as well as Faith is doing as well.
Thank you so much. And to everyone else, stay tuned. Next week, we have another guest coming on here to share valuable insights on strategic collaborations and partnerships in the industry. Have an incredible day, everyone.
Bye.